Death Stranding 2. On the beach's battles add a new dimension, similar to James Cameron's Aliens. Death Stranding 2. On the beach, director Hideo Kojima has compared the upcoming sequel to its predecessor by bringing up the differences between classic sci-fi horror movie Alien and its more action-packed sequel Aliens. Hideo Kojima, director of Death Stranding 2, On the Beach, has stated that the sequel will introduce a new dimension, similar to how James Cameron's Aliens expanded upon the original Alien. This means the sequel will introduce new gameplay elements and a shift in focus, much like how Aliens moved from a claustrophobic horror film to an action-packed sci-fi adventure. Kojima brought up how Ridley Scott's Alien was more frightening and mysterious. "The first Ridley Scott film was so frightening," said Kojima. "There were facehuggers and monsters bursting from people's chests, and at first nobody knew what it was all about." The new dimension. Kojima has said that Death Stranding 2 will offer a new perspective and experience compared to the original, with elements that will surprise players. Comparing to Aliens, he specifically mentioned how Alien shifted from the horror-focused atmosphere of the original Alien to a more action-oriented approach, which he views as a successful way to introduce new dimensions to a franchise. When James Cameron came to make the sequel, Aliens, he made a very smart decision to make the film not about horror, but about action, he explained. "It gave the story a new dimension, which was unfamiliar. That is what I wanted to do with this sequel," he said. "Everyone understands Death Stranding's world, so now we've introduced battles to give it this new dimension." What this means for Death Stranding 2. This suggests that Death Stranding 2 will likely introduce new gameplay elements, combat scenarios, and potentially a different tone overall, while still keeping the core themes and setting of the original. Open-world exploration. Death Stranding 2 is set in open-world environments in Mexico and Australia, allowing for extensive exploration and a sense of discovery, similar to the original. Automated shipments and new technology. The sequel will also feature automated shipments and new technology, like hover pads and all-terrain vehicles, which could contribute to the new dimension.